Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fulfilled Female Entrepreneur Podcast. It's your host, Cassandra Rosa. I am an intuitive life coach, healer, and business coach, and the mission of this podcast is to help you to create a fulfilling life in business. Today, I am really excited to have a very special guest. Her name is Carla, and she's going to be talking about hosting your very own retreat. All right, everyone. I'm really excited to introduce you to Carla. We connected on Facebook and we just resonated. There was a vibe there, and I'm really excited to chat with her today about how to host a retreat, because for myself too, it's been on my bucket list for a really long time. So this is going to be as informative for me as it is for all of you listening. So first and foremost, thank you, Carla, for coming on the podcast.
I am so excited. Thank you, Cassandra, for inviting me. I mean, actually, it was kind of fell through. We were like, let's have coffee. And you were like, well, why don't we do it on your podcast? And I was like, yeah, why don't I do it in my podcast? And we'll share something together. So This is kind of our coffee chat / podcast conversation.
Yes, I have my espresso here.
I have my tea here.
There you go. Cheers. So excited.
Cheers.
So I'm going to introduce you guys to Carla. She is a retreat strategist and a multi-dimensional wisdomer. She's a podcast host, and she's going to share a little bit about her journey today. And yeah, I'm excited to chat with you. And the podcast is all about creating fulfilling life and businesses. So I always like to ask all my guests, what does fulfillment mean to you? And what's the most fulfilling part of everything that you do?
So fulfillment for me, it probably is not the same as the actual word, because I'm very conscious about what the actual word means, a definition. But for me, fulfillment is really learning that the ifs and flows of life, the goods and the not so goods of life, and kind of go through those processes and learning through those processes as you go. And for me, the fulfillment is when I fall and I get up. That's fulfilling for me. And that is the part that I in this journey of awakening, which has been I call it awakening just recently, but we are awakening all of our lives, right? I feel that definitely has deepened that part in myself of understanding life as is, instead of really, constantly searching for. Right. And so I love the fulfillment for me is really the learning experience of what it came out of that particular situation, which we get to experience every day. Every day is a new learning experience, if you want to see it as a learning experience or not. And so for me, that is my fulfillment.
I love that. I absolutely love that response. That's a very unique response. And that's why I love asking that question, because for every single person, it's different and they're all powerful in their own way. And what's the most fulfilling part of being a retreat strategist?
Oh my gosh. So for me, I've always known that I'm being a connector. I love connecting with people in person. The energy is different, right? And the most fulfilling for me in seeing my clients walk into a retreat or walk into their magic and just be this is exactly even more than, I do events not only for retreat online coaches, but I do for corporations and other places as well. So just seeing that client, that person, that soul walking into this room and just going whoa, this is beyond me. I can even feel it in my, right now, shaking, everything, vibrating. That's the fulfilling part of saying it's, I'm making her feel something. I'm making her feel alive in this birth, because the retreat is not only for the attendee. When I plan it, the retreat is for the host. I call it becoming the host of when you're walking, you become the energy. You are the energy of the room. So looking at their body, their face, the ahs, the sounds, the crying, I mean, all of those things are so fulfilling for me.
I love that. I love that. I love that perspective that it's not just for the participants, it's for the host as well. And that's so beautiful. And what led you into this work? I would love to know about your journey. And
yeah, so I've been doing retreats and events for corporations for now about almost 19 years. So it's not it's kind of discovered the online world where I was already working, doing retreats for CEOs, doing events for corporations, and working for corporations and different things. So I actually originally wanted to be a hotel manager. Hello, not so good. And then it just ended up in me doing like in-person experiences, and I absolutely fell in love with it and I loved it. And so when 2020 came through and everybody shut down and everything shut down and events shut down, I was like, you know what? Something lit up on me, and I was like, I am going to teach people how to do. And the reason was I had a friend that she was a coach, and she was just like, oh, she told me about a story that she attended a retreat, and it was like a not so good experience because she didn't know anyone, and they were cliquey, and there were so many red flags there. And I was just like, huh. I'm like, and I told her, I said, what if, I was like, she should have done this, she should have done that. She's like, Carla, maybe you should teach. And I was like, what? I'm like, that was awesome. Like, I would teach. And I was like, that turned into the red flag. And I was just like, yes, I'm going to teach, other spiritual online coaches, spiritual healers and teachers how to really create a retreat that not only will transform, because that's the main thing of the, when you're facilitating a retreat, but also that makes money. Because guess what? If you're making retreats right now and you're not making profit, you're not making retreats. You're creating gatherings. And gatherings do not give you money, and it doesn't give you profit for your business. So this is why it all started there. And since there, I've been very passionate about teaching the online world how to connect in person. So
I love that. I love that pivot. For everything that happened the past few years, the pivots have been just so powerful for all these women. And hearing all the stories on every podcast episode, it's like, what a gift. Like these powerful pivots and resilience that we've all built that have connected us to doing something deeper for the world, which I absolutely love. And what do you think are some of like the biggest misconceptions when it comes to retreats?
oh my gosh, there's so many. Do we have all day? Okay, so the biggest ones are that there's a perception out there in the online world of how they look like, right? Like you go in, you select a venue, whatever you see on the internet, like, oh my gosh, like an open space where you can put mats all around and that's it. And then, and that's where you start. And then from there, you're like, okay, I'm going to hire food, or I'm going to go buy food. And then from there, you're like, oh, I'm just going to put a course that I already have, or I'm going to do my healing methodology. And then boom. And then now I'm going to sell it. And you forget you don't not know everything that goes into a retreat. So when it comes into creating the retreat, yes, you have your friends, your old students, everybody that joined the retreat, they show up, and then you're completely overwhelmed. You are losing money because you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't buy enough food, so now I have to like hire Uber or whatever to deliver food, right? You're like thinking about the activities when you're setting up and the stuff, and at the same time that some of the attendees want to talk to you and kind of go through the process of what they're going through. And so you're like, no, 1 second, and they're like, wait, what? Like, and so all that creates a negative, environment for the person attending. So, that's the perception of what it looks like, what everybody posts on the pictures on the online and stuff like that. How you really create and plan a retreat. And I'm going to give you tips right now. So how you really is you start with your psyche, right? Your psyche, I call it your mindset. Because you need to really know, why are you hosting it? Where are you hosting it? When are you hosting it? Right? And really, you need to understand the deep reason why. Everybody says, yeah, I want to create a retreat because I want to heal. But why do you want to heal? But why do you want to hold these people? But what about you? You right? And so there's a lot of questions, mindset, clarities, clearings, and everything that you have to go through before you jump into. Right? And then you think about like the energy online when you're healing or when you're doing your modality or thing is completely different. Right? In my journey as a multidimensional wisdomer, I started as a healer, and then I move into other areas of like activations, and I move into different things because I wanted to understand how a healer or like an energy worker will do when they do a retreat. Right? And the thing is that there's a difference when you are in person than when you are online. And so in person, it amplifies up to 100%, like 100 times more, right? So when that happens, you need to be able to be in an emotional state, like a very leveled emotional state. You need to be on very leveled energetic state. Your body needs to be in a very, your nervous system needs to be in a very leveled energetic state for you to be able to hold everybody's crazy energetic state, everybody's crazy emotional state, ups and downs that they're going through. You need to learn how to hold the energy of the room, and I always give this example. Watching a concert online on a computer, right? You can feel it. You're like, yeah, I can feel it. But standing there, how many failed concerts, people that just starting concerts, they're like talking the song and the people know the song, but you're like not feeling it because there's the song, the person singing is not holding the energy of the crowd.
Yeah.
But when you attend a concert that the singer is holding the energy of the crowd, oh my gosh, your body vibrates. You're feeling, you feel warm. I mean, there's so many things happening in your body, right? And so that's the first steps before even you think about the venue, before you even think about the caterer or the chef or the facilitation or what you're teaching or healing or whatever, right? Once you sort of master that for your own, then you move into the strategy, which is like, that's where you make money, how to price it. Another thing that is a misconception is you can actually facilitate whatever you have a course online, you can actually put it in it will work on in-person. It does not true. Not all your online courses will work in an in-person setting. So you have to do an evaluation of what of your courses, of your programs, of your healing modalities will work on an in-person setting, right? So those things are the questions that you have to do before you start like throwing yourself to putting deposits down, like putting $4,000 deposit on this venue and you have no clue what's happening next, right? So you move forward this entire process of, okay, now that we know what is it that I'm going to teach, then you move into, let's secure the venue. Let's look at the activities, how much time you're going to make, itinerary creation. And there's so many steps. It takes 5 months to plan a proper retreat that is going to sell out and be profitable. 5 months. It's not like in a month and I'm just going to call my friends and be like, let's get together. That's a gathering. That doesn't work that way, right? So we need to understand, for all your listeners out there, they need to understand that there's a process that comes through this. And I have a free workshop that I'm going to share with you guys that you guys can look at it, go and click and, sign up, and it's free. And I go through the process of the psychic, the energetics, and talk about the basics of the strategy that you have to do. So that's the misconceptions in a nutshell of planning a retreat.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think those were my understandings of retreats too. And I love how you're specifying the difference between a gathering and a retreat. I think that's really important. And I love how you start with the psyche piece, because in being a motivational speaker, like I've done speaking events, I've held workshops. I think that that's really true. Is there's lots of energy in the group, especially as empaths, and there's lots of spiritual entrepreneurs that are listening to this. Facilitating and holding this space for transformation for people, I think, is really important. So if you have in the back of your mind, oh, is the caterer coming and all the logistics, that will affect the experience for everyone. So I really love how that's the foundation behind everything that you do. And I love that you started to lay down the process of where to start, because I know for me, even I want to retreat. Now what? Like, how do I start this? So I love that example. And what are some other things that you think that retreat facilitators miss in the process of creating a retreat that can be the differentiating factor between here's the gathering and here's the retreat?
They go for the shiny objects. They go for the mansion, And it's funny because, when you think about mansions, if you ever rented a mansion, and I'm going to tell you because I have rented a mansion for my clients, there's some rules and stipulations. Some of the mansions don't allow you to move furniture.
Hmm.
And unless it's like a 5-acre property of mansion, right, that has its own, space for that type of, like, if you want to do meditation, things like that, you can't move the furniture.
Hmm.
And they do have cameras and things like that. So there's like part of a contract and things like that. So another thing is contracts. They don't contract. They just say, let me hire you. They don't read contracts and stipulations. If they are using a retreat center with most, if you go to Sedona, the most top typical places, you have a retreat, they just sign the contract without protecting themselves.
Hmm.
That's a huge one, right? What happens if they have to cancel? Well, and you have to pay. Well, I always make sure that my clients have different clauses in there to be able to protect them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Another thing that happens, that maybe the people hosting retreats are not doing is, and I just, gosh, it just left my mind. It does all the time, that happens. But anyway, so it's important to understand and know all this parts that you might just not know what to do with it, right? So we're talking about the venue, the mansions, we're talking about like the retreat centers, right? And we talk about the activities itself, right? Are they just coming to meditate? They can do that at home, right? That's another thing. What other unique activities? And repeating the same thing, they tend to repeat the same thing. No wonder it doesn't sell out every time.
Hmm.
So if you're a healer, energy worker, right? Like say you do Reiki, right? And then you do Reiki, all your retreats have Reiki in it. If I come to one, what do I need to come to the other three?
Hmm. Interesting. It's true.
So think about it. And I always tell my clients, put yourself in the position of the people attending, right? Like who's coming to your retreats and what are they? There's always an expectation based on the money that they're paying for. That's another thing. They don't charge enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I had a discovery call 2 days ago from a person that came and was interested in my services, and she was telling me her story that she actually came out overwhelmed, frustrated, tired, and she charged $800 for her retreat, but the cost of her retreat per person was $2,500.
Oh, wow.
So think about the difference, how much she had to put in and lost money,
Mm-hmm.
right? But she's so passionate about wanting to do another retreat. That's why she was just like, okay, now I'm going to do it the same. So right now we're going to work on creating that plan for her. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But as a listener, you have to think about, and if you're dreaming to do your retreat, you have to think about the profit that you're going to make, how much money you're spending, what activity, you want to be able to be sustainable. Retreats can be sustainable. Retreats can be completely your own business by itself. Like you can generate just money by just doing retreats a year. That's it. And sell your courses through retreats. You don't have to use online if you don't want to. Right? But you have to do it in a certain way and for them to want to come back. Just because they experience it one time and you do it the same thing, you have to change it up. You have to make it unique. And that's where I use my multidimensional gifts, because I connect to your soul and I say, okay, Cassandra, your soul is telling me that these are the activities that you should do. And you're like, or the places that you should go. Everybody wants to go to Sedona because of the energy, because etc. As a healer, everybody's looking for that because it amplifies their energetic healing powers for some reason. But the truth is that's not true. I mean, that's not my truth. Like, I don't see that. Why? Because you have the power to create the same energetic field capacity portal anywhere you go. You just have to really tap into that and believe. And that's the second part that I work with my clients, is really bring up that entire area of their multidimensional gifts where they open up and they pop up and create portals like Sedona anywhere they go in their retreats.
Yes. Yes. I love that. You're
and they
sharing
will
so much goodness here. I have a million questions to ask you. I know we have a very
go for
limited
it.
time. Okay, so I have a couple things that came to mind. First, okay,
Okay.
so you're saying being aware of not just going to the retreat centers and looking at the fine print of the space, but like what are a few things in terms of the physical location to keep in mind when you're looking for and finding the right one?
Okay, so if you've done step 1, 2, and 3 before that,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, I know exactly what I want. So it in base of your facilitation and your activities.
Mhm.
And when you look at the places, I always recommend my clients to actually go to these locations. I go with my clients to their locations to feel it, to look at it, and everything like that, right? So I go to the locations and look at, is there enough space for everyone to have alone time?
Mm.
And you as the host, that's another thing that this discover called, retreat person was actually telling me. She's like, I was on 24/7. I was staying at the same house in the same room. They were knocking on my door, asking me questions. I couldn't even sleep.
Hmm.
I didn't have enough sleep. That's what she told me. So you have to think about those things. Are you going to have enough time in your itinerary? Are you going to give them enough time, space for integration? That's another thing that you don't think about. Integration time.
Hmm.
Yeah, you just want to heal, transform. Yeah. And then what about the integration time? They need time to integrate. So are you giving that space there for them?
Hmm.
Okay, so when you're looking at the space, well, that's why I say mansions are for certain type of retreats, right? If you're doing business where you can have each room as a business thought, but if you're doing healing, I don't recommend mansions, right? Because they're not suitable for that type of thing. Yeah, you want the luxury vibe. Yeah, you can create all of that. The luxury vibe, it comes into how are you making them feel? That's another thing. When I say the luxury retreats,
Mhm.
they're not about going to mansions or private jets and things like that. You can do that too. What I'm talking about is how are you making the person feel
Mm.
luxurious? Little details. It's all about the little details. How are you making them feel when they walk into that room? They don't know you, they're strangers, right? They're strangers that signed up and they're walking into a space to spend the next 5 days with you and other 10 people.
Mhm.
And think about how you would feel if you go to a place where you know no one, you walk into this place, you know no one. I mean, are you going to be walking like, hey, what's going on? No, you're going to have that like, oh my God, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to take time to adapt and kind of warm up with everyone. So always think about the other side too. So when you're looking at rooms, at locations, as venues, even the retreat centers, look at, is this going to be a space when people are going to be like, wow, this was unique. This was like, whoa. No.
Mm.
Why? Because probably the year before they went, they went to the same retreat center that teached almost similar that what you're teaching.
Mm. Mm.
So all those things have to be in consideration when, especially when you're looking at venues, right?
That's important. And I think that these are amazing points. And it's making me think, oh, wow, I never would have thought of some of these little details. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm taking away from this conversation is all about the little details that amplify and add up to create the experience that's enjoyable for the participants and for you. That's what I'm taking away.
Exactly.
And you said earlier as well about the topics. Not every online course or idea is going to land and be effective for a retreat. So what do you think are some places that you should start in terms of the focus of the actual content of the retreat?
When it comes in terms of the content and retreat, you have to consider the body,
Mm-hmm.
a huge part, the body, right? Because if you're like, yes, I'm going to do a healing where we're all going to be naked and we're all going to be there. And people are like, yeah, I'm going to sign up. And they sign up and they're like, I feel really uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. And then you're like, no, you can do it. You're like, no, I thought I could do it, but I don't. And they start crying and then they start,
Mm-hmm.
right? So maybe that's a good idea for someone online, that everybody can be in their own space with camera offs and they can feel the energy and they, right? Let's say this
Mhm.
is just an example.
Yes.
But then, you think about, I suggested one of our clients, I was actually channeling their retreat, how it would look like. And one of them was like, it was in the woods, right? And they had like in the woods, and everybody was um, pretty much connecting to Mother Earth, right? And there was just silence, and everybody was just there. And I told her, I said, what you have to do is ask them to grab the earth, and then to follow the intuition to what to do with that earth.
Mhm.
So, and again, you might be like thinking like, how's the healing there? Well, there's huge healing through earth, right? Through just
Mhm.
touching, being in Mother Earth and things like that. So there was another one that I did that I was like, you have to do it in the snow. She was like, what? I was like, yeah, do it in snow. Everybody take their clothes off, not clothes off, but like be in a bikini or like a shorts and t-shirts,
Mhm.
go outside in the snow and feel the snow. It's going to
Hmm.
shake up your nervous system, right? But
Sure.
those are not normal healing practices, but they're coming through your soul, specifically through the soul of that person,
Yeah.
that's the way they heal.
Hmm.
Because everybody's so focused on the energy healing, the Akashic records, and yes, those are valid and those are amazing. But if you go deeper than that, you have unique healing connections
Yes.
that not other person has.
Hmm.
So discovering those through those activities, which are completely different. Yes, you can do the meditation. Yes, you can do the sound bowls. That's another thing. Like, if you go to every single retreat, and you expect that you're going to have sound bowls, you're going to have meditation, you're going to wear white at the end for clearing, I don't know what, and you're going to have, lots of fresh fruits and veggies.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep.
So why am I going to pay for your retreat apart from the other person? Oh, because I'm
Right.
connected to your energy. No. Yes, you are attracted to the energy of the person, but that's not enough. Right now, this year, moving forward, they need more than just transformation. They need a life experience. They need to be completely unleashed.
Hmm. I love that. And what I'm taking away from what you just said too is like it doesn't need to be all these elaborate things that everyone else is doing. It could be like the simple thing, like connecting with the dirt. So maybe it's like scaling it back and simplifying it so it can be a connective space instead of like this full-fledged itinerary, doing all the things and checking all the boxes because everyone else is doing it and having your own unique way, which I
Exactly.
love. I love.
Exactly. And that's why I call, that's what my brand is called Unleash with Carla, because I am unleashing the host so she can unleash her community.
Yes.
Right? And when you become unleashed, you remove yourself into like all of this. I'm not saying the meditation, sound bowls, and sound healings are wrong or Reiki. Everything's beautiful. There's there for a reason. But that's the foundation and basis. We have to step it up, right? And only the ones that step it up, the unique people that can step it up, are the ones that are going to really create true transformational experiences
Yes.
above and beyond. For me to come to your retreat and be like, oh my God, Cassandra, like in my life, I've never in my life felt this way. But people say that for other retreats that, with the same thing, but they don't feel it the same way, because
Hmm.
you need to have that. I can't, there's no words to explain it. That
Yes.
wow effect, that there's not even a word to explain that what you just experienced throughout those 5 days, 3 days, or whatever. And that is the magic that I help you bring.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I feel so hyped up right now. I'm starting to feel connecting with your energy and starting to feel that unleashment with me, which I absolutely within me, which is amazing. So, where can they connect with you if they're like, oh my gosh, Carla, like I'm ready to unleash my inner host and create these magical experiences? Where's the best places that they can connect with you to learn more about your services?
Sure. Like, so you can follow me on Instagram, Unleash, with Carla, that's where I'm at. In my Facebook page, not page, but my Facebook at Carla Cobos Hall. I do have a group called Unleash Your Human, which is all about in-person experiences and how your body, you have to put it into a work your human to be able to hold and support and all these other humans. So that's my Facebook group. I do have my podcast. I don't talk about it in my podcast. My podcast is just for like fun multidimensional talks and stuff, my sassy human. But mostly if you want to talk about retreats, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and in my Facebook group.
Amazing. We're going to drop all those links in the show notes so it's easy for you to connect. And I know that you mentioned that you are giving a gift to our listeners to check out that masterclass. So we're going to leave a link in the show notes for that as well. So it's easy for you to connect and check it out. I know I'm going to be checking it out. I'm loving what you're sharing, Carla.
Yeah, and if you sign up for my, once you sign up into the workshop, it's a workshop that I share all of that fun things, fun deeds, I call it. Then you can have you'll be part of my emailing list, which I share lots of tips, lots of things as well, and lots of specials as well sometimes. So I just feel called. I just want to really help people really host real retreats, real in-person connections, and not just like everybody else is doing. I don't want that, and this is why I'm so passionate about what I do.
I feel your passion. Thank you so much, Carla. It's been such a pleasure. I've learned so much from this conversation. I definitely need to listen to this back and write down some detailed notes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So much gratitude for you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been fun, and I love our coffee chat. We should do this more often.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Carla.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I'll upload a new video on Thursday. See you in the next one. Bye.